All right. Happy Monday to everybody out there. It's a new month. We're in the month of November. I can't believe it. It's November 1st already. Feels like just yesterday we were celebrating the start of a new year after what was a really rough 2020. We're already toward the end of the year in 2021. It's pretty hard for me to wrap my head around that. Before you know it, it'll be Thanksgiving. Then we'll be rolling into Christmas. I know for some of you out there, Christmas is pretty much the entire month of November. You've already started your Christmas celebration. But anyway, my name's CJ. Thank you so much for tuning into today's stream. If you've never been here before, definitely hit subscribe and make sure notifications are turned on. I'm going live every morning talking about NBA player props on our reference site here, which is PrizePicks. So we're going to be talking about the overs and the unders on things like points, rebounds, assists, and three-point makes. So if you're into that sort of thing, help the channel out, help me out by hitting subscribe, turn on those notifications, and definitely drop a like on this video. Now, in our last stream, you guys absolutely smashed those likes. We went well over 100 likes, and I think we set an all-time high in terms of likes on a single video. Since I started here on YouTube back on January 1st of this year, I don't think I've ever had a video with as many likes as I had in that last live stream for NBA. So I appreciate all the outpouring of support and everything that you guys do to take care of me as I look to take care of you this morning with hopefully some winning player props over on PrizePicks. If you don't play on PrizePicks, that's okay. This show can still help you out no matter where you play. But if you want to give PrizePicks a shot, definitely check out prizepicks.com. Use promo code Curry because it's going to get you a 100% instant deposit match on your first deposit all the way up to $100. Yes, that's right, folks. A dollar for dollar match on anything you put in all the way up to $100 is rewarded to you instantly. Just go to prizepicks.com or use the link down in the description of this video. Good morning to everybody who's joined me in the chat. We've got 18 viewers at the moment. My man Zaddy's in here. Anthony, good morning to you. Silly Rabbit 007, good morning to you as well. Thank you so much for joining me. What are you guys sipping on this morning? Are you coffee folks? Are you energy drink folks? I'm an energy drink guy, specifically a brand called Celsius. I love their energy drinks. Very good, 0 calorie, even has some like other health benefits, fat burning and stuff. So I'm all about that energy drink life. Don't really like to do coffee too much, but let's take a look at today's NBA slate as people continue to pile into the chat. Thank you so much for joining me once again. Definitely smash like as you make your way in. Game information and starting lineups provided by numberfire.com. Numberfire is completely free, guys. If you're looking for a site for free projections on fantasy points and single stat points, Numberfire is a way to go if you don't want to pay any money and you want some free info. So let's take a look at the schedule here. We've got the Portland Trailblazers at the Philadelphia 76ers. This game tips off at 7 p.m. Eastern time. For the Portland side, we've got Riller and Ben Simmons. Well, that's not right. Ben Simmons plays for Philly unless he got traded for like Dame Lillard. Anyway, that's supposed to be over here. But yeah, those guys are out for the Philadelphia 76ers. Moving down, we've got San Antonio versus Indiana tonight. A number of injuries for the Indiana side. Brogdon, most notable. We've got Lamb, who's also game time decision. Jackson, LeVert, Martin. Out for Indiana is going to be TJ Warren. He continues to sit for them. And then on the Spurs side of things, we've got the likes of Doug McDermott, Collins, and Kasak. I don't know how to say his name. I don't want to say anything inappropriate this morning. And then the next game, we've got the Cleveland Cavaliers at the Charlotte Hornets. No notable injuries. We got Isaac Okoro for Cleveland. He's probably going to be the most noteworthy one. Toronto at New York, game tips off at 7:30 p.m. We've got Watanabe and Siakam on the injury report for Toronto. And then we've got Nerlens Noel on the New York side of things. We'll keep it moving here. Washington at Atlanta. We've got the likes of Gafford, Gill, Bryant, Hachimura, and Winston out. And then we've got Okongwu out for the Atlanta Hawks. Moving down, Chicago Bulls at Boston Celtics. This will be a very good game, one that I'm interested in watching. Kobe White and Patrick Williams. I think Williams is set to miss the entire season now from what I remember hearing, that he's done for the year. So that's unfortunate for him. Moving over to the West side, the Western Conference. 8 p.m. Denver Nuggets at Memphis Grizzlies. We've got Jamal Murray and Victor Kankar sitting out. Dylan Brooks out for the Memphis side. Then we got my Orlando Magic at the Minnesota T-Wolves. Michael Carter-Williams, Markelle Fultz, Jonathan Isaac, and Etuan Moore all out for Orlando. And then finally, the late game, the late night hammer, 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Oklahoma City Thunder at the Los Angeles Clippers. they've got the likes of Johnson and Leonard on GTD, Game Time Decisions, followed by Preston, Ibaka, and Morris, all ruled out for the LA Clippers. So there you go. Quick little rundown of all the games tonight. Give you an idea who's in, who's out. Keep an eye on that injury news, of course. Things can open up in terms of value plays if you pay attention closer to lock, closer to tip-off, that is, for any type of late-breaking injury news. Could be a way for you to get ahead. Thank you, everybody who's coming in. We're up to 28 viewers. I appreciate you guys tuning in this morning. Happy Monday to everybody who's jumping in here. Anthony says he's all about that Monster Ultra Rosa. Celsius is fired. Jeff, you know what the deal is, man. Celsius is low-key one of my favorite little energy drinks. Just the right amount of caffeine, got some other health benefits in there, and makes you feel right early in the morning. Silly Rabbit, water for me. Well, after I put my energy drink down, then I move over to the water. So I'm all about staying hydrated. We got to get that water in, no doubt. Appreciate you guys. Logan Warner says Dutch Brothers Rebel. Not sure what that is. You'll have to drop a link or something to that. Good morning to you, said. Let's get it. Let's get it. All right. So we're going to take a look at the points player props. We're going to give you 1 over, 1 under, because I read something very interesting today. Across the league in the NBA, scoring is down. And a lot of people, players that is, are blaming this on the shortened offseason as being a reason why scoring is down. You see lower scoring totals. You see lower field goal percentage averages. 3-point percentage averages are down. So hashtag undergang has been a trend here at the early onset of the season. So we're going to definitely look at an over, but we're also going to be considering some unders today because they have been hitting. But I thought that was an interesting tidbit that across the league, you're starting to see more and more declining field goal and 3-point percentages and scoring output. So kind of an interesting trend to kind of keep an eye out on. All right, so let's get into it, guys. We got points pulled up. Of course, we're looking at props.cash, player prop research tool that's absolutely changing the game. If you don't use props.cash yet, $19.99 a month gets you access to all the sports. That's NBA, NFL, what remains of MLB, and any sports to come. I have an affiliate link down in the description of this video if you want to check it out. Or you could do a full NBA season pass for $19.99. So let's go ahead and talk about some of these player props. Now we got Desmond Bane, who is a 100% hitter when it comes to his points prop, covering 15.5 points in every game so far this season. That'll be an interesting one to look at. We've got Tyrese Maxey, 83.3% hit rate at 13.5 points. Cam Reddish, another one who has been hitting his point prop with great regularity at 12.5 points, 83.3% hit rate. So these are just a few names to kind of consider. Let's see if Desmond Bane's up on the board, because if he is, I'd like to talk about the guy that has the 100% hit rate. And he absolutely is. He's at 15.5 on PrizePicks. Those game logs looking oh so nice at 15.5 points. So let's go find him here on props.cash. You can do this a number of different ways. You can click search up at the top, type his name in, which I'll do today to save a little bit of time. And up he comes. You could also filter out by game and filter out by the type of prop you want, like points props in this case. So let's look at Desmond Bane here. We've got him up at 15.5 on props.cash. Guys, I'm seeing a lot of green so far, a whole lot of green. 22, 19, 17, 19, and 17. He's covered this prop in every single game this season. This guy has come out guns blazing. I mean, he is hitting a lot of shots, scoring a lot of points for this Grizzlies squad. He's taking full advantage of Dillon Brooks' absence from this lineup. And I got a feeling that even when Dillon Brooks is back, Desmond Bane has earned his keep. He's earned a fair share of minutes here for Memphis. So as you can see, guys, the over looking like a good way to go based on his game logs. Now, I will point out that at 15.5 points, he's currently a minus 126 to go under. I don't know why. Maybe it's a matchup thing, but it's kind of puzzling that the money's coming in on the under so far. If we look at his matchups against Denver last season, there's 3 games in there. We can't really consider these too much because his role was a lot different in those games. So I just want to point this out, but take it with a grain of salt. Throw it out the window. Last year was last year. This guy's on fire this year, and that's what really, really matters. So let's move it on down the line here and take a look at this defensive matchup. We got the Denver Nuggets defense pretty stout, pretty tough. Overall, they rank 12th, so they're not a pushover. They're one of the tougher defensive teams. They rank 8th in points allowed, so they're not giving up a ton of points to the opposing team. And then as far as field goals allowed, they rank 7th. Three-pointers allowed, they do kind of suck there, 20th overall, so they're giving up a good amount of three-pointers. And then in terms of shooting guard defense, they rank 12th. So kind of gives you an idea what Desmond Bain will be facing tonight as he faces off against this Denver Nuggets squad. Looking at his minutes, we got to look at the minutes, because if he's not out on the court playing minutes, it doesn't matter. He's not going to be able to score any points from the bench, right? We got to get him out there on the floor playing basketball. He got about 30 minutes, 30, drops down a little bit against Portland to 23, shoots up, way up to 38, and then 25. So overall, in his last 5 games, he's getting around 30 minutes per game at 29.7. So I'm liking the way things are looking here for Bane. He's shooting a healthy amount of shots. In his last 5 games, 14.2 field goals attempted. And then you get an idea for his percentages. He's floating right around that 50% mark. 3-point attempts are definitely there for them. He is a gunner, guys. He comes out there and shoots the ball a lot for this Memphis Grizzlies squad. I'm not here to sell you on anything, but I think this is looking really good for another over opportunity for Bane. 6 threes, 10, 7, 7, 11, and 10. So maybe you don't want to take his points. You could also consider taking his 3-point props if you'd rather play that. So let's finish this off for you. We've talked enough about Desmond Bain. You can kind of get an idea where he's at today. We'll do a little search here for a projection on his points. Let's see if we can find them. Number Fire, you are not cooperating. Let's refresh the page, see if we can get this loaded for you guys. There we go. Desmond Bain is currently sitting at 13.8 projected points, which would put him slightly under 15.5. We round that up and call it 14. He's about 1.5 points under, according to Number Fire. But Number Fire typically takes a more conservative approach, I've noticed, with their player props. They usually seem to be underweight versus a site like PrizePicks. But hopefully that helps you out. We've identified one really strong over candidate. Now let's talk about an under candidate. So we'll scroll down the page here on props.cash and we'll look at some of the lowest hit rates for points. These are guys that are not covering their points prop very well to start this season. Let's see who we have on the list here. Jaden McDaniels from Minnesota at 6.5 points, 0% hit rate, has not covered his prop at all, not even once so far this season. So he's a candidate to be looking out for if he's added to the PrizePicks board. Lauri Markkanen at 13.5 points, 14.3% cover rate. I don't think I see Lauri Markkanen up on the board today on PrizePicks so far, so we'll have to keep an eye out on him. Joel Embiid at 25.5 points, just a 16.7% cover rate on that 25.5 point prop. Is he up on PrizePicks? He is not. So we're not gonna discuss him, but it's at least worth mentioning. Clint Capela at 11.5 points, 16.7% cover rate. All right, they do have Clint Capela up, but they have him up at an alternate prop on PrizePicks at 10.5. So let's talk about Clint Capela and look at this one a little bit closer, because sometimes things can be a little bit tricky. You've got him at one number on PrizePicks, you got him at a different number on some of these other sports books out there. So things can be a little bit confusing. So let's talk about the big guy, Clint Capela. And I'll type in his name here. Like I said, this is a quick and easy way to pull up whatever player you're looking for, or whatever prop you're looking for. So at 11.5 points, things are looking pretty bad for him. Let's move it down to 10.5. Maybe they improve a little bit. Yes. And so you could see how the graphs change in real time here on props.cash. At 11.5, there was a lot of red. When I moved it down to 10.5, which is where he's at on PrizePicks, it becomes a little bit of a sharper number. And he actually has gone over this point prop in a handful of these games here. Let's look at his last 5. In his last 5, he's gone 2 out of 5 at 10.5 points, just a 40% cover rate. So still not an outstanding cover rate, but you could see even the games where he doesn't cover, there's a 10-point performance here against Cleveland, drops down to 4 and 5 against Detroit and New Orleans respectively. And when he does go over, he's barely going over. So my initial lean would probably be toward the under, but we got to look at the matchups, as this could be a soft one here versus Washington. At 11.5 points, you're not seeing any movement out there on the over or the under. The money's not coming in really either way. So far, it's even Steven for Clint Capela. 8.2 points per game average in his last 5 games. That kind of gives you an idea at how poor he's doing in terms of scoring the basketball. So we'll move it down a little bit here. We'll look at this Washington Wizards defense and see how they rank overall. 19th overall defense. In terms of points allowed, dead last in the league. They're giving up a ton of points, but are they giving it up to the center position, which is where Clint Capela plays? Well, center defense, they rank 13th. They're actually pretty tough against opposing big men, so this could be a difficult matchup. And then they're in the paint defense, just sort of middle of the road and average defense, not somebody we're fading players against, but we're also not looking at it as like, oh, this is a smash spot for Clint Capela either. Moving it down the line here, you kind of get an idea of where his minutes are in his last 5 games, averaging 26.7 minutes per game. Not too shabby there for a big guy. And then the field goal attempts, he's not somebody who's going to shoot a high volume of shots. He's not a Joel Embiid. He's not a Nikola Jokic or someone like that. He's going to be a rim runner type of big man, a pick and roll type of big man. He's going to pull down offensive rebounds, get putbacks. That's where he's usually making his living. He's not going to take a lot of shots, guys. So you got to get an idea here of Clint Capela at 10.5 points, where things line up for him. Let's do a little search for a projection on his points prop tonight. And he's at 12.3 points. So they've got him projected to go slightly over 10.5. So take that for what you will. If you buy into these projections versus like historical data, then you might want to ride on the over on Capela. But good morning to everybody who's joining us. We're up to 42 viewers. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. 43 now. Appreciate you guys filing in here. We got Razor Ramon in the house, the bad guy himself, Scott Hall. I wish Scott Hall was tuning in my live stream. That'd be like a childhood dream come true. Ruru, what's happening, man? Thank you for joining the live stream. Appreciate all you guys dropping in here. If you could, there's 43 of you in here. If 43 of you hit like on this, that makes our goal of getting to 90 to 100 likes later on today that much easier. You've already done half the work, and then everybody who watches the replays can leave a like on this too. But I appreciate you guys definitely checking it out. It means a lot to me that you guys would spend a few minutes with me this morning looking at some player props. So let's go ahead and take a look at the next category. So we're going to look at some assists here over on PrizePicks and take a look at the guys who have been hitting and guys that have not been hitting. Now, it's our old friend here, Desmond Bain, who is at the top of the list for the points prop, but we're looking at assists now. We got Zach Levine at 3.5 assists. Is he up on PrizePicks at 3.5? Okay, that's a good starting point because he's covering this in 83.3% of his game so far, and he's also a minus 130 at the moment to go over. This line's probably going to move, meaning PrizePicks will probably round it up to 4 as the juice continues to come in. So let's take a look at Zach Levine. Like I mentioned before, Chicago taking on Boston. This is going to be a must-see TV matchup. This is going to be the type of game that could define the Eastern Conference playoffs down the road. So let's take a look at Zach Levine and his assist prop today. We'll switch it up. We'll go to the assist category, and then we'll type in the Chicago Bulls-Boston Celtics game here. And we'll take a look at Zach Levine. So different ways you could search your favorite player props. I'm kind of showing you multiple ways how you can go about it. But let's look at the last 5 for Levine. At 3.5 assists, he has hit in 4 out of his last 5 games. If we look at the last 10 games, we don't consider these last 4 here. Those are all from last season. But basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of 6 he's covered to start the season. And the one game that he didn't cover was against the Knicks. He still dropped 3 dimes, coming really, really close to going for 4 assists. But let's just stick to the last 5 where his hit rate is 80%. That's looking really good. I mentioned earlier, the over is definitely the way to go here on this Zach Levine prop at minus 134. So all things are looking very, very good for another over for Zach Levine. Let's look at this Boston defense in terms of assists allowed. They are kind of stingy. They rank in the top 10, 9th overall in terms of the assists allowed to the opposition. So this could be a situation where maybe it's a little bit of a difficult ask for Zach Levine to go over 3.5 assists, but I'm not too worried about it, guys. I think this is one where we continue to take the over, just riding with the trend here. There's only been one game where he hasn't went over 3.5 assists. So I really like the fact that this is at like over 80% in terms of hit rate. Getting plenty of minutes here in his last 5, averaging about 34 minutes per game. So we're not worried about his playing time. I think things are looking very good here on a Zach Levine over. So we'll click the assist category and then we'll type in Zach Levine's name, Lavine. And then at the projection today on Number Fire, they've got him at 4.5 assists. That puts him 1 whole assist over the 3.5 mark, which is where he's at on PrizePicks, guys. So case you couldn't tell, I kind of like this prop. This is looking like a good prop here. Should be a good competitive game between Boston and Chicago. So definitely consider Zach Levine and an over at 3.5 assists. I will not be surprised if soon this goes up to 4 assists. Just saying. I'm just saying. All right, we've talked about an over that we like on the assist prop category. Let's go down the list here and look at some unders. Guys who have not been covering their assist player prop. We got Scottie Barnes for the Toronto Raptors, having a good little rookie season so far, but just 14.3% hit rate at 2.5 assists. Keldon Johnson for the San Antonio Spurs, covering just 16.7% of the time. Aaron Gordon of the Denver Nuggets, 16.7%. And Seth Curry at 2.5 assists at 16.7%. So we got at least 4 guys up on the board at different assist numbers that are going under 20% in terms of their hit rate, which is good. This is an opportunity here for an under gang situation. So let's see if we got Scottie Barnes up. It doesn't look like they've posted Scottie Barnes assist prop up. Do we have Keldon Johnson of the Spurs up? We do not have Keldon Johnson up either. Aaron Gordon of the Denver Nuggets, also not on the board. So maybe PrizePicks knows that these guys do not hit their assist prop and they're not giving us any easy layups here. Seth Curry also not on the board, unfortunately. D'Angelo Russell's pretty low, though, at 6.5 assists. Is he up on the board? Not up on the board on PrizePicks. Well, we're going to keep going down the list here. Spencer Dinwiddie, are you up on the board? Not seeing Spencer Dinwiddie either. Boy, they're not giving us anything early this morning, folks. We're going to have to wait for some of these guys to get posted up. Hopefully they do, though. Anthony Edwards, not on the board. Batum, not up on the board. Colin Sexton, Van Vliet. Let's talk about Fred Van Vliet, because he actually is on the board. He's at 6.5 assists. That's a pretty big number. We can actually talk about a player here finally. We got to get more assist props up on the board. If PrizePicks is listening and watching out there in La La Land, help us out. Get us some more assist props. We see a lot of plays that we would like to take unders on, and we would like for you to post those so we can get an opportunity to lock some of them in. So let's go ahead. Toronto taking on New York tonight. We're going to look at the assist prop here for Fred Van Vliet, one of the few guys who have a low hit rate that is currently up on the PrizePicks board. Let's look at his last 5 games until those last 10 game logs start to populate with game logs from this season. We'll just look at the last 5. In his last 5, he's actually 3 out of 5, a better hit rate than his last 10. That's a 60% hit rate. So more often than not this season, he is going over. But wait, this is points. We got to look at assists. What am I doing here? All right, at 6.5 assists, he's just 1 for 5. That's much better if we're looking to go under. 20% hit rate. He's only got 1 game where he really exploded, and that was 17 dimes against the Chicago Bulls. Otherwise, guys, it's been tough sledding here in terms of assists. 5 against Denver, 6 against Indiana, 6 against Orlando, and then 4 against Indiana. So in his last 5, 7.6 average, but that average is really being boosted here by the 17 assist number that he had there. Now at 6.5 assists, if you look at the various sports books out there currently, he's a minus 130 to go over 6.5, despite his inability to go for 7 assists or more. So that's kind of an interesting way to bet this if you are. Let's move it down here. Look at the New York Knicks and their defensive rank. They're a tough defensive team, meaning if he is dishing the ball out to his teammates, they might have a hard time making shots if the New York Knicks are up in the Toronto Raptors jersey and defending them like their numbers suggest they will defend them. Very good defensive team. 3rd overall. They're 6th against the assists allowed, and they're 8th against point guard defense, and 17th in the paint defense. So defending against big guys, typically centers, power forwards. So I think this is a tough matchup overall for the Toronto Raptors. I would be leaning toward the under yet again on Fred Van Vliet. Again, he's going to be passing the ball. If his teammates are being guarded tightly, closely, and aggressively, then this is going to be a tough situation for Fred Van Vliet to find any dimes, in my opinion. So let's dial it in here. We'll look at the assist projection for him. They've got him at 7.5 assists, guys. They think he's going to go over today's PrizePicks projection of 6.5. But again, projections are just that, just a projected outcome, not set in stone, not factual or 100%. Thank you, everybody who's joining. We're at over 50 viewers. I appreciate all your support. Leave them likes. I appreciate you guys leaving those likes. And if you're not subscribed yet, we're on our way to 2,000 subscribers, guys. I think we're about 20 to 25 subs away from hitting 2,000 subscribers. Look, I want to be able to go out there and say my nickname is now CJ2K. Can we do that? Can we get me to 2,000 subscribers today? That would be an amazing feat, an amazing accomplishment. So, all right, we talked about some assist props, guys. Let's go ahead and talk about some rebound props, and then we'll get to your questions. We'll do rebounds, we'll do a couple 3-point props, and then we'll get to all the questions that you guys have in chat. So if you have questions, go ahead and leave them in the chat now. I'm going to go back. I'm going to take a look at all your questions, all your submissions, and we'll do those research, those different props together in real time. So let's move this over to the rebound category. We got Al Horford at 7.5 boards, 100% hit rate to start the season. Anthony Edwards for the Minnesota Timberwolves, 5.5 boards, 100% hit rate. Nikola Jokic at 10.5 boards, 83.3% hit rate. So those are like your top three. Let's see if any of these guys are out on the board, because, you know, we didn't find a whole lot in terms of assists that PrizePicks hooked us up with. So maybe we'll do a little bit better here when we're talking rebounds. Al Horford, I don't think he's played a whole lot of games this season. Let me look. Oh, well, he actually has. Oh my God, he's been smashing. Is this real life? 22nd against Toronto, 11. October 24th against Houston, 10. October 27th against Washington, 11. October 30th against Washington, 12. All right, we got to look at this, guys. This is just looking too good. We got to look at Al Horford. He's low-key crushing his rebound prop, and I had no idea, man. Let's go ahead and look at Big Al. The old dude still getting it done, apparently, on the glass. All right, well, it looks like PrizePicks numbers are right, and I've just been sleeping on Al Horford and his rebound prop. In his last 5 games, he's played 4 this season. He's went over 7.5 boards with 11, 10, 11, and 10. So he's not just barely going over with like 8 or 9 rebounds. This guy's getting double-digit boards, 11, 10, 11, and 10. I love it. This is looking great so far. This is like finding a little gemstone, a little diamond in the rough, walking down the sidewalk and you find a $5 bill blowing around here. Let's look at the matchup here against Chicago. Their overall defensive rating, 11th. In terms of rebounds allowed, they are difficult to rebound against, just 5th overall in terms of rebounds. They rank 1 in offensive rebounds allowed, and they rank 12 in defensive rebounds allowed. Their center defense, not so great, 19th overall. And their in the paint defense, not good whatsoever. One of the bottom teams in the league at in the paint defense. Probably not so impactful on rebounds, but yeah, this could be a little bit more of a difficult matchup. Now, if Al Horford was just barely going over with like 8 or 9 boards, I would say, you might want to fade this. But even presented with a difficult matchup, the fact that he's had so much overhead here, so much ceiling, he's like not just going over 7.5 by a little bit, he's going over by like 3 or 4 rebounds in most cases. So I still feel pretty good here about Al Horford clearing 7.5 boards despite a potentially difficult matchup. So things are looking good. I'm glad I stumbled across that Al Horford rebound prop. Let's get you a projection on this and see what Number Fire thinks. So we dial it in. Al Horford, 7.1 boards, which puts him in that same neighborhood as 7.5. So 7 to 8 rebounds, kind of looking like the number for Al Horford. But as you can see, guys, he's had a great season so far on the glass. So if you wanted to take the over, I ain't mad at you. I think that is a good look. So we talked about an over. Let's go down here and talk about some unders on the rebound category. Because as I mentioned at the top of the show here, the unders have been hitting, guys. They have been hitting. It's something we should definitely consider more often than we probably do. Is it fun to root against a guy that he doesn't get, 10 rebounds? Is it fun to root against somebody when we're trying to root against them to go under 25 points? It's not as fun as rooting for the over. I'll admit that. But, what we want at the end of the day is profitable entries, right? We want big entry energy. That's what we got to bring into the chat today. Big entry energy. That is the theme for today. So let's look at some unders here. We got Joel Embiid at 9.5 boards, just a 16.7% hit rate to start the season. Do we have Embiid up on the PrizePicks board? We do not as of yet. DeAndre Hunter for the Hawks, 3.5 boards, just 20% of the time he's covering that prop. DeAndre Hunter is actually up. We can talk DeAndre Hunter real quick as a potential underplay. Let's go dig in a little bit closer, look at it on props.cash. Washington at Atlanta. We got the rebounds already pulled up here. Click DeAndre Hunter's name. And as you can see, guys, it's a sea of red in his last 5 games. This guy has only went over 3.5 boards one time. And it was against Washington. Otherwise, 3 rebounds, 2 and 3. So overall, in his last 5 games, averaging just 3 boards. So he's coming really close to going over 3.5 boards. I'm not going to say that he's getting 1 to 2 rebounds a game. This could be a situation where one lucky bounce goes his way and he ends up with 4 instead of 3 rebounds, right? So it doesn't look like a home run, but so far the hit rate at just 20% is looking pretty good. Now they got him as a minus 150 at 3.5 boards to go over. So if PrizePicks happens to adjust this and move it up to 4 rebounds, I'm definitely taking the under on this player prop. And I think worst case scenario, it might end up as a push, but we've got no evidence here to show that DeAndre Hunter is capable of pulling in 5 rebounds or more. So if they bump this up to 4 because of the heavy action coming in on the sports books, guys, be ready to click the under at 4 rebounds. At 3.5 rebounds, I would still click the under, but it's a little bit of a tougher decision. Against Washington, their overall defensive rating, they're 19th. Rebounds allowed, they rank just 24th, meaning this is a plus rebound situation for not only DeAndre Hunter, but the entire Atlanta Hawks team. So if you don't like DeAndre Hunter in terms of rebounds, maybe you go Clint Capela, maybe you go Jason Collins and take the over, because this does look like a soft matchup. The Washington Wizards are giving up a ton of rebounds. 25th overall in offensive rebounds, 24th overall in defensive rebounds. So kind of giving you an idea of DeAndre Hunter's outlook, his prospects of going over or under at 3.5 boards. Let's go ahead, cap it off with a projection for you. They've got him really, really close here to 5 boards tonight. So they expect DeAndre Hunter for the first time all season long to go for 5 rebounds. Do you believe in it? I don't know if I do. The game log suggests something completely different. So again, projections are just that, a projection of what could happen. They're not concrete ever. So there you go. DeAndre Hunter, a potential candidate to go under his rebound prop today. So we're going to move things over from rebounds over to 3-point makes. We'll talk 1 over that we like for 3-point makes, 1 under, and then we'll start getting to your questions. You guys are dropping tons of questions in there. I appreciate all of you guys joining the chat. Over 61 viewers. Thank you so much, guys. If you haven't liked this stream yet, please do. I love all the support, all the outpouring of likes and subs and all the fun things that you guys have been doing. We're trying to get to 2,000 subscribers by the end of the day. It's a lofty goal. There's like 20 plus subs that we need to get to reach 2,000, but I think with your support, we can absolutely do it. All right, Kemba Walker at 2.5 3-point makes has an 83.3% hit rate. He's currently also a minus 125 to go over 2.5 3-point makes. So Kemba Walker, let's go find him here, see if he's up on PrizePicks at 2.5 3-point makes. He is, in fact, at 2.5 3-point makes, which we have to talk about it because in his last 3 games, he has gone over 5 and 4 3-point makes respectively. So I think he's starting to find a groove potentially here with his new team, the New York Knicks. So let's talk some cardiac Kemba. Maybe he continues the 3-point success and continues going over today's prop. Let's go find him here on props.cash, Toronto versus New York. Kemba Walker down at the bottom of the list here. We'll make sure we're dialed in up at the top of props.cash. Let's look at just his last 5 games. In his last 5 games, a 4 out of 5 hit rate, 80% of the time. He goes over 2.5 3-point makes in this 5-game sample size. That's good for an average of 3.8 3-point makes in his last 5. Really close to 4 3-point makes. You got to love what you're seeing so far. The action's coming in on the over at minus 128 at 2.5 3-point makes. So everything's looking good here for Kemba Walker. Let's investigate a little further by looking at this matchup against Toronto. Is it a tough matchup or is it an easy matchup for Kemba Walker? Well, overall, I would say that this is a very soft and friendly matchup for Kemba Walker. The Toronto Raptors overall defensive rating just 15th. They are exactly in the middle of the pack in terms of overall defensive rating. Field goal percentage allowed, 24. 3-point field goals allowed, 26. That's the number we really care about. They're giving up a ton of threes to the opposing team, and this is the 3-point prop we're looking at for Kemba Walker, right? So we're liking the over, I think, so far on Kemba Walker. Looking at his minutes, last 5 games, about 26 minutes. I do wish this was a little bit higher, but if you look at the way things are trending, 21.8 drops down to 19. But since that game against Orlando, things are on the uptick here. 28.2, 29.3, and 32. So the minutes for Kemba Walker are starting to ramp up. Of course, he's a veteran now. So maybe it took him a little time to kind of get his legs under him, get the conditioning right, but things are starting to look good here for Cardiac Kemba. In his last 5 games, 5 3-point attempts, but things again are ticking upward. The more minutes he gets, the more opportunities he gets to shoot threes. So 11, 6, and 7. More 3-pointers are going up for Kemba Walker due to the increase in minutes. And the matchup is looking oh so nice. So I would have to lean over on Kemba Walker. Unfortunately, Number Fire doesn't give us a projection in terms of potential 3-point makes, but I think we've got enough evidence here to feel comfortable about clicking the over on Kemba Walker's prop today. So let's go back to the trends. Let's find one 3-point prop that might be a good place to go under on, and then we'll get to the chat. We'll get to your questions. We've got over 54 people checking us out right now, so thank you so much. Let's look at the lowest 3-point hit rates on the board on PrizePicks. We've got Reggie Jackson at 3.5 3-point makes a 0% hit rate. Reggie's pretty good at making like 2 or 3, but not so good when it comes to making 4 or more, apparently. Trae Young at 2.5 3-point makes a 0% hit rate. He's one of the guys whose 3-point field goal percentage is down. And he's not up on the PrizePicks board right now, surprisingly. Eric Bledsoe at 1.5 3-point makes, also at a 0% hit rate, but he's also not up on the PrizePicks board, so we can't talk about him. Here's one that kind of looks interesting. Julius Randle at 2.5, just a 16.7% hit rate. Let's talk about this. I know he's at 2 over on PrizePicks, meaning that they've taken the 2.5 3-point line and they've turned the dial down, bringing it down to 2 3-point makes. And you can kind of see why at the first glance here in his game logs. He's got 2, 2, 2, 0, and 2. Not really going over 2 3-point makes. So for me, this would be a situation where I'd be leaning toward the under, and worst case scenario, I think you end up with a push based on what we've seen in his last 5 games. But we're going to look at it a little bit closer here on props.cash in terms of the matchup, how many threes he's actually attempting, what his 3-point field goal percentages have been looking like. And this might be a good spot for us to take the under. And in worst case, we end up in a push situation, which isn't the end of the world. It kind of sucks to push. I'll admit it. I like clean wins, clean losses, but we don't always get that, right? Sometimes a push can be a saving grace for us. So at 2.5 3-point makes, guys, it's a sea of red. You cannot blame PrizePicks for moving this player prop down from 2.5 down to 2. So if you play on a site that doesn't round the props up or down like PrizePicks does, maybe you have access to a sports book, well, then this would be a good situation for you to take the under, I think, on Julius Randle. But we are talking PrizePicks, and I would like for you to play on PrizePicks. Again, promo code Curry, 100% instant deposit match on your first deposit. If you don't play on PrizePicks yet, there's a code, a link down in the description below. But in his last 5 games, just averaging 1.6 3-point makes, guys. So not looking very good. Now at 2.5 3-point makes, obviously a minus 188 to go under. You gotta love those odds. It's just an eye-catching number, minus 188. So let's roll it down here. Look at the defensive matchup against Toronto. Their overall defensive rating, middle of the pack. Field goal percentage allowed, 24. 3-pointers allowed, 26. Center defense, 27. And in the paint defense, 22nd. So again, I'd probably be leaning toward the under on Julius Randle. Pray for a push as the worst possible scenario. But in, the best scenario, he goes for maybe 1 3-point make or no 3-point makes. You can kind of get a look at his 3-point attempts, guys. His numbers, he stopped shooting so many threes in his last couple of games. They started out at 6 back on 10-22. They shoot up to 10 3-point attempts back on 10-24. Then you look at 10-26, things start to drop a little bit. 5 against Philly, 2 against Chicago, and 2 against New Orleans. So if he's only going to take 2 or 3 3-point makes, this guy's going to have to be ultra efficient. He's going to have to make both of them or hit 2 out of 3 or something like that. Is he capable of doing that? I don't know, man. He's not, the first guy that comes to mind when I think of 3-point snipers. So I'd be leaning toward the under on Julius Randle at 2. And if you get him at 2.5 somewhere else, you definitely got to take the under in this case. All right, guys, it's time. We have spent about 30 to 40 minutes talking about some of the best trends as identified on props.cash. Again, you could go to props.cash, sign up today, use the affiliate link down in the description of this video. But now it's time for me to turn things over to the chat. So let's talk about some of the props, some of the plays that you guys are liking. We've got over 50 people in here, man. That is so humbling. Such a blessing to have all of you guys in here supporting the channel, tuning in, watching the stream. Let's see what you guys are talking about in here. All right, we got Razor Ramon says Bane is a hitter. Bane is definitely a hitter, as we've discovered. He has been hitting those points props, those 3-point props as well, have been a great way to go on Desmond Bain. So yes, Desmond Bain over on points, over on threes would probably be my lean. Razor says free throws are down, it seems, too. So I'm not sure what he means. Maybe Bane's free throws are down. Ruru, what's up? What's going on? Remy says Dez is on a back-to-back with 2 tough matchups. Why I think people are hitting the under. So that's a good piece of info. Sometimes if a guy's coming off of a game the previous night and he's on a back-to-back or 3 games in 4-night situation or 5-night situation or 2 games in 3-night situation, maybe fatigue plays a little bit of factor, but he's a young guy. He's a young guy who's not getting a ton of minutes. Didn't get a ton of minutes last season. In terms of wear and tear, there's certain guys where, I think that plays a factor. Those back-to-backs and high minute totals and stuff can start to add up. But I don't know. Desmond Bane's a young fellow. I'm not too concerned about it. Jeff says, I don't usually go with round numbers, but John Collins rebounds over 9 looks promising. Yep, we talked about this being a soft matchup for both Clint Capela and John Collins in terms of rebounds. So if you didn't like that DeAndre Hunter at 3.5 boards, if you didn't like going under on that, you could definitely go over on Clint Capela or John Collins. We could take a quick glimpse at John Collins and that rebound prop, which is at 9 on PrizePicks. And you can see that it's been a little bit of a mixed bag. It's not a high hit rate type of thing, but it is over 50% in its last 5 games, 12, 7, 12, 12, 7. So I think there's an argument, a case to be made here that John Collins in this particular matchup against a soft Washington Wizards team could definitely pull in at least 9 boards and you end up with a push, but maybe he goes for 10 boards. What else do we got here? Says, I like Clint Capela boards, Collins points. All right. Yep. I definitely can rock with both of those. We talked Capela boards is a good way to go. Washington, not a very good team. Big Trez and Kuz have been fire. Yeah. Kyle Kuzma and Montrezl Harrell have a little bit of a resurgence, I guess you could say, for the Washington Wizards. Now that they're on a different team off of the Lakers, they're able to shine a little bit more, show what they're able to do. So yeah, that's a good point. Jeff says Bradley Beal's 3-point prop at 1.5. Let's take a look at Brad Beal. We haven't talked a whole lot about him. He's kind of off to a slow start to begin the season. Obviously, Bradley Beal, one of the best scoring wingmen out there in the entire NBA. So let's go ahead and check out this Bradley Beal prop. Washington versus Atlanta tonight. Bradley Beal, currently a minus 160 to go over 1.5 3-point makes. So let's dig into it a little closer here and look and see why that could be. In his last 5 games at 1.5 3-point makes, he's covered in just 2 out of 5. That's just a 40% hit rate. So not doing a fantastic job of going for 2 3-point makes or more, but he's averaging just 1.6 3-point makes in his last 5. If we look at Atlanta last year, he only played 1 game. I'm sorry, this was earlier this year. This was 10/28. This was a couple days ago. He had a 1 3-point make performance against the Hawks. So maybe that's a sign of things to come tonight in this rematch against the Atlanta Hawks. Let's look at the Hawks defense. In terms of 3-pointers allowed, they rank 9th. So they're a top 10 team in keeping the other team from making a lot of 3-point makes. So I'm liking this defensive matchup here. If you're looking to take the under on Bradley Beal, of course, I don't feel super comfortable about it because Bradley Beal, again, is a great scorer. He could go off on any given night. So I don't know. It's kind of a risky one if you're thinking about going under. But looking at his 3-point attempts, they're kind of all over the place. I mean, he could go for as high as 13 3-point attempts and as low as 4 3-point attempts. So I think there's a little bit too much volatility here, a little bit too much risk and uncertainty with taking an under on Bradley Beal. I also don't feel great about taking the over. So for me, probably a fade. Not one of my favorite plays on the board. I think there's better ways to go, and then we've already identified some of those. Says Van Vliet, great value under. Yep, we like some Fred Van Vliet under. Pharaoh Johnson says, can we talk about Mo Bamba's points, rebounds, and assists, and OG Anunoby points? Well, for the sake of the stream, being that it's mostly PrizePicks focus and PrizePicks doesn't offer points, rebounds, and assists, I think we should talk OG Anunoby points. So I'll take that one off your hands. He's at 16.5 points, guys. It wasn't too long ago, maybe a couple of nights ago against my Orlando Magic, where he was at 18.5 points and we were clicking the over on that. So he has now been dropped down to 16.5 points, which is a little bit of a discount versus where he was just a couple of nights ago, right? So I like discounts. I think you guys do too. So let's go ahead and look at OG Anunoby, one of the top offensive options here for the Toronto Raptors. For whatever reason, he is at 16.5 on PrizePicks, but he's at 18.5 on most of your other books out there. And I can kind of see why. In his last 2 games, he struggled a little bit, 16 points and 15 points respectively. But overall, if we look at his last 5 games, he's averaging 20.2 points per game. And he's at 18.5 on other books out there. So I like to look for those discrepancies. Where is this guy at in terms of his player prop on PrizePicks? Where is he at on some of the other books out there? And I kind of like to use that as a comparison and kind of give me an idea. Should I be leaning more toward the over or toward the under? In this case, I think we should be leaning more toward the over based on a larger sample size of 5 games instead of just the last 2 games where he struggled a little bit. But nonetheless, at 18.5 points, we're not really seeing any action on the over, not really seeing any action on the under. Let's move it down here. Let's look at this matchup for OG Anunoby. We talked a little bit about it earlier. New York Knicks defense, very good. They're one of the better defensive teams in the league, 3rd overall. In terms of defending small forwards like Anunoby, though, just 16th. So they're like middle of the road, middle of the pack. We're not really fearing the New York Knicks and their defense in this case. And we're not really like targeting. I mean, this isn't a super plus matchup here for OG Anunoby. But overall, guys, I think I would have to lean toward the over on OG. Let's try to get you a projection here on number fire for this particular player prop. Anunoby, 17.3 projected points according to Number Fire. So they do like the over here, which kind of lines up with my belief in what OG Anunoby could potentially do tonight against the New York Knicks. So I think, Pharaoh, to answer your question, OG Anunoby points going over might be the way to go. And what do you know? Lackey right behind you, also agreeing OG Anunoby over 16.5 points. He likes RJ Barrett over 14.5 points. I've talked about RJ Barrett a little bit in previous streams. Not my favorite player to take overs on. But look, guys, last 2 games, he has heated up a little bit. 35 points and 20 points respectively against New Orleans and Chicago. But you go back a little bit further and the game logs aren't looking so great here for RJ Barrett. So do I trust it? Not completely, I'll be honest with you, but let's pull a projection up for RJ Barrett. He's at 13.5 projected points against the Toronto Raptors tonight. So should be an easy matchup for him. There's a chance that maybe he could go over, but I don't know, man. I'm just gun shy when it comes to RJ Barrett. I don't like taking overs. I just don't like touching any of his player props typically ever. Jeff says they've already moved Capela to 11 boards on PrizePicks. Well, you know, PrizePicks never sleeps. They always are on top of their game. So that is no surprise to me that they would go ahead and bump Clint Capela up. So Clint Capela at 11 boards, you kind of get an idea on his game logs here. There's some games where he's just not active on the glass. Against Detroit, 8 rebounds. Against Washington, 4 rebounds. But other games, 12, 12, 14. So again, one of those types of props where it's just a little bit too up and down for me, for my taste, for my liking. Don't know that I particularly love going over on Clint Capela, especially if they've already tweaked it, rounded it up. probably going to stay away from it. Anthony says, yeah, PrizePicks is watching the live stream. LOL. Maybe they are. Maybe I've got a fan out there in the PrizePicks land. I appreciate that person. If there is a person watching from PrizePicks, I appreciate them watching too, man. It's all love. PrizePicks got to get theirs just like we're trying to get ours. Says Capela and Collins eat all the boards. Absolutely. I mean, that kind of plays back into what we were talking about with DeAndre Hunter at 3.5 rebounds. If you believe that Clint Capela and John Collins eat up and gobble up all the rebounds tonight, then DeAndre Hunter under 3.5 rebounds isn't a bad look. It isn't a bad look. Also says, the last week, Julius Randle's boards have fallen off. Do you see a trend in Julius Randle's rebounds? Well, let's take a look at it. He's at 9.5 boards. He's going against Toronto tonight. 9.5 rebounds. I mean, he's covered 4 out of his last 5. So maybe he's doing a better job of rebounding the basketball, but this is an interesting prop to look at, as Julius Randle has been covering this player prop quite a bit here. So let's go ahead and dial it in. We'll look at Julius Randle at 9.5 rebounds. Moving on up here, and at 9.5 boards, yeah, guys, you could see kind of how he's been crashing the glass so far. Averaging 11.8 rebounds in his last 5 games. I would say that the trends are that he's going over more often than not. Not just barely going over, in some cases going way over, at 16 boards against Orlando, 16 against a tough Chicago Bulls team, even 11 against Philly, going 2 boards over the 9.5 number. So I think this is a good spot here for Julius Randle potentially to go over, as long as this game stays close and competitive and we get a full run of minutes for Julius Randle. I think there's a good opportunity for him to crush this 9.5 rebound prop. If you look at the rebounds allowed, Toronto allowing the 23rd most rebounds to opposing teams. So this is a good sign of things to come, hopefully, for Randle. 22nd in offensive rebounds allowed, 25th in defensive rebounds allowed. Center defense, they rank 27th, almost dead last, and they're in the paint defense just 22nd. So a lot of green, a lot of good matchups, good situations here for Julius Randle. Currently, he's a minus 118 to go over 9.5 boards, guys. So yeah, I think Julius Randle going over 9.5 rebounds definitely could be a good look. Let's go ahead and look at the rebound column here real quick. We'll type in Randle's name, get a projection for him. And they've got him at 9.7, really, really close to 10 boards, which is all we need out of him, just 10 rebounds. So he's been getting the job done. I think going over on Julius Randle at 9.5 boards is a good look. Thank you for dropping that one in the chat. I think some people in here will agree, and we'll probably end up taking that over on Julius Randle's boards. So I don't think that they've fallen off. I think that they've actually gotten better, personally. 9.5 seems a little low. Maybe at like 10 or 10.5, I'm starting to second guess it, but I think the over's my lean on that one. Azen Bots, if I'm saying that right. How tall, like, I think he said, how y'all like Franz Wagner against Minnesota tonight? Well, Wagner is an interesting situation. And the reason I say that is because the Orlando Magic are starting to get a little healthier. If I'm not mistaken, Gary Harris is now back in the lineup for Orlando. On top of that, I believe that Chuma Okeke is supposed to be making his return for Orlando too. Orlando very logjammed at the forward position where Franz Wagner plays. So you're going to have guys like Terrence Ross, Gary Harris, Chuma Okeke in the mix. A lot of different guys who are potentially going to eat into the production for Franz Wagner. So he's not currently up on the PrizePicks board for his points prop, but that would be one that I'd be a little bit careful with, because although the hit rates have been good, that's without guys like Gary Harris and Chuma Okeke in the lineup. So be careful with Franz Wagner if you're looking at taking any overs on him. That's just coming from an Orlando Magic fan. Pharaoh also dropping another one here. Danny Green under 1.5 3-point makes. Do we have Danny Green up on the PrizePicks board? That is the question. Not seeing him up on the PrizePicks board. Maybe I can pull something up real quick for you on props.cash. Philadelphia, again, they are taking on Portland tonight. Usually, those are the types of games, types of situations where I like taking overs on 3-point props. Portland, typically not very good against the 3-ball. Not very good defensively overall either. But Danny Green, if they do post him up to PrizePicks in his last 5 games, he's covered 4 out of 5. That's an 80% hit rate, guys, averaging 2.2 3-point makes per game in that span. Against Portland last year, 2 games, only made 1 3-point make in both of those games. So that's a little concerning, but that was last year. New year, new you. Portland defense, 29th overall, not very good. In terms of 3-point makes allowed, 19th. So this is a soft matchup. If we're looking to target 3-pointers and target the over on Danny Green, I could see this one being an over, leaning toward the over. If we look at his last handful of games here in terms of 3-point attempts, 6, 5, 8, 5, 3. Kind of all over the place. I wish that volume was a little higher. I wish it was like more consistent at 5 or more, but in some cases, like against Atlanta, he shoots just 3 3-pointers. So there's a quick glimpse at Danny Green's 3-point makes for you. Taylor, what's happening, man? Taylor, also a content creator, guys. If you're not out there following Taylor Stuber yet, check out Taylor's YouTube channel. Showing some love for you, Taylor. Hopefully that helps you out. Chris Boucher, fantasy prop, looking really nice with Scottie Barnes doubtful. So that Scottie Barnes news could be potentially game-changing for the Toronto Raptors. So if you're looking at taking unders on guys, thinking Scottie Barnes is going to be in the lineup tonight, be careful with that. Now, if Scottie Barnes is out, I'm absolutely 100% without hesitation taking the over on OG Anunoby at 16.5 points. That number will go up if Scottie Barnes is ruled out. Mark my words, I guarantee it, it's a lead pipe lock that number will go up. He will not stay, OG Anunoby will not stay at 16.5 points if that number, or if Scottie Barnes is ruled out, that number will go up. Do they have Chris Boucher up at fantasy points here on PrizePicks? They do. He's over here at 20.5. So Boucher, kind of tough so far getting it done. But again, like you said, the usage is going to go somewhere, right? Scottie Barnes is out of the lineup. The usage has to go somewhere. So I'm expecting Fred VanVleet, Chris Boucher, maybe a little bit of OG Anunoby to absorb some of that usage, some of those shots. They got to go somewhere, right? So yeah, I think Chris Boucher at 20.5, that number will certainly shoot up as soon as Scottie Barnes is confirmed to be out. So that's a good one. Thanks for dropping that, Taylor. Jeff says Marcus Smart 3-pointers under 1.5. Marcus Smart under 1.5 3-point makes. All right, let's look at it. See if they have them up here on PrizePicks. They do. 1.5 3-point makes. Ooh, okay. We might have us a little sneaky gem here. He did have 5 3-point makes against New York, but I believe that was a double overtime game against the Knicks back on October 20th. Since then, 0, 1, 1, and 1. So yeah, the under on Marcus Smart's 3-point makes looks like a potentially good way to go here. Let's go ahead, dial it in. Chicago at Boston tonight. Let's talk Marcus Smart. You don't think of him as a 3-point shooter, at least not one that shoots at a high clip or high percentage. And the charts here on Props.cash echo the same things as PrizePicks in terms of his 3-point makes. He hasn't been doing well, guys. Just a 20% hit rate, averaging 1.6 3-point makes in that span. Against Chicago last year, had one game or 2 games, made 1 in 1 game and then none in the other game. So could be a tough matchup against the Chicago Bulls. Let's move it down here. We'll look at Chicago's defense. Overall, their defensive rating is 11th. They are a tough team, guys. This is a tough matchup, and the numbers seem to agree and reflect that. 5th in terms of 3-pointers allowed to opposing teams. Number 1 in shooting guard defense. So, yeah, if I'm going any way on this Marcus Smart prop, given his game logs, given the matchup, it's going to be under on his 3-point makes. This guy doesn't shoot a high volume of threes, typically 4, 5, 5. He's got a couple of outliers. We'll call those outliers 11. Of course, again, that was a double overtime game. And then 9 against Charlotte here. So, yeah, overall, I'd be leaning toward the under on Marcus Smart and these 1.5 3-point makes. Thanks for dropping that one in. We'll highlight that white for you, get you an easier look. But yeah, thank you for dropping that prop. I think under is a good way to go. Let's see here. What else do we have? Zaddy, Jokic over rebounds, Kuz over rebounds, Jokic and Kuzma. Let's see if we can find them on the trends page here on props.cash and see what the trends seem to indicate. Nikola Jokic, obviously, big man for the Denver Nuggets. And Kyle Kuzma, forward for the Washington Wizards nowadays. So looking at these guys, you've got Nikola Jokic at 11.5 rebounds, 83.3% hit rate. Currently, though, minus 130. Minus 130. They've got him going under. The money's coming in on the under for Nikola Jokic. And you can see that PrizePicks already has adjusted, going from 11.5 down to 11. They've rounded things down here, but he's been crushing, guys. 16, 19, 16, 19. Yeah, so these game logs are looking really good here. I'd probably lean maybe toward the over on Nikola Jokic. Hopefully he goes for 12 rebounds. Maybe he ends up on 11 and you push, but overall, guys, other than that tough matchup against Rudy Gobert back on October 26th, where he pulls in just 6 boards, has just been absolutely smashing, cleaning the glass. So I think Jokic looks like a good way to go. And Kuzma's probably not too bad either. What else do we got here? Anthony Ruiz also saying Kyle Kuzma rebounds. For some reason, he became Dennis Rodman. All right, we got 2 people talking about Kyle Kuzma's rebounds. Let's go find him here. If he's on PrizePicks yet, we can look at him. Not seeing him, unless I'm missing him. There he is. Lakers jersey. Threw me off a little bit. He's at 8 boards over on PrizePicks. He has not gone under 8 rebounds in any of his 5 games. His last 5 games, that is. So let's go ahead and look at it a little bit closer under the lens of props.cash. If you're not on props.cash yet, use the affiliate link down in the description of this video. Get signed up today, guys. You can see how useful and beneficial this tool can be for your player prop research. I fell in love with it, and now they're an affiliate of mine. We are affiliates. We are affiliated. So in his last 5 games, Kyle Kuzma, if we move his alternate prop line down to 8, you get an idea of what he's been doing here. 11.4 rebounds per game on average. Even in his last 10, 9.1 rebounds per game on average. So he's got 11 against Indy, 13 against Brooklyn, 8 and 8. That's a push on today's player prop line of 8 rebounds. And then a huge 17 rebound performance against the Boston Celtics. So yeah, Kyle Kuzma might be Dennis Rodman 2.0. What a world that would be. Against the Atlanta defense, we already talked about the formidable front court of both Clint Capela, John Collins. They're long, they're athletic, they're rangy. They get on the glass. So Kyle Kuzma could have a difficult time here. In terms of rebounds allowed, the rankings seem to agree with the notion that Atlanta's a tough team to rebound against. They rank just 8th in allowing rebounds to the opposing team, 21st in offensive rebounds. So that's kind of a highlight, I guess, if you're looking to take the over on Kyle Kuzma, and just ranked 4th in defensive rebounds allowed. So kind of a tough one here for Kyle Kuzma. Let's pull up a projection for you. If you're wondering what number fire projections think, well, they've got him at 7.3 boards, putting him slightly, ever so slightly under today's mark of 8 rebounds. So there you go. That's how it's looking for Kyle Kuzma. Azen says, the books are sleeping on Wagner points, but what about his other stats? Good question. We don't have any Franz Wagner up on the PrizePicks board yet. I'm not going to dig too deep into Franz Wagner. I kind of given you a little bit of a summary, an overview of what my prospects are for Franz Wagner. With these Orlando Magic guys continuing to get healthy, soon Jonathan Isaac will be back in the lineup. He's got a lot of competition there in terms of fighting for minutes and stuff. So he's not a guy that I feel comfortable clicking overs on anymore, with more and more of the Orlando Magic squad starting to return to the lineup. So Logan says, any fantasy point props that you like? I think Taylor shouted out a good one. Keep an eye on the Scottie Barnes news. As soon as that news breaks that he's ruled out, you're going to want to have that trigger finger ready and go lock in some overs maybe on these Toronto Raptors guys. OG Anunoby points is a good one. OG Anunoby fantasy points. Chris Boucher was the one that Taylor shouted out. So those are definitely ways to go on any of the fantasy point props for the Raptors guys. Joe, yo, what's up, Joe? AKA Salty Pretzel, AKA CSGO GOAT. He's a member of the Discord community. Thanks for joining me. Silly Rabbit, DeMar DeRozan, 20.5 points. Okay, let's look at DeMar DeRozan, Chicago Bulls swingman. Having a pretty good season so far with the Bulls in his first year as a member of Chicago. Let's open up his game logs, his player card here. 26 back on October 22nd against New Orleans. 21, 26, 20, and 32. So he's went over 20.5 points in 4 out of his last 5 games. That's a pretty high hit rate if you ask me. Let's pull up a projection for you on Number Fire. See where they've got Demar Derozan going today. They got him at 20 points. So could end up being a nail biter if you trust these projections. It's going to be a close one. We'll dig in a little bit deeper since we have Chicago and Boston already pulled up on props.cash. I will click DeRozan's name, click the points category. You can see how quick and easy you're able to maneuver here on props.cash. Now they got him at 21.5 points, but when I slide this number down to 20.5, we get a little more green up on the board in his last 5 games, giving him an 80% cover rate. Right now he's a minus 118 to go under. You can see everything's green for the most part across the board. 23.3 points per game average in his last 10, 25 point per game average in his last 5, and 25.5 versus Boston. Of course, that factors in games from last season when he was a member of the San Antonio Spurs. So take that with a grain of salt. Moving down here against Boston, though, kind of a middle-of-the-pack defense overall. You see a lot of yellow here, a little bit of green, and the green happens to be shooting guard defense. They don't defend opposing shooting guards particularly well, so this could be a good spot here for DeMar DeRozan. His minutes are very healthy, over 34 minutes per game in his last 5, so he's seeing plenty of court time. Field goal attempts also very healthy, over 19 field goal attempts per game in his last 5. Those are great numbers. Not a high volume in terms of 3-point shot attempts. That's really not his role. He's not a big-time 3-point shooter. He'll take a few here and there, but mostly he's going to get his points in the mid-range game, getting to the hoop and stuff like that. And speaking of getting to the hoop, he gets to the free throw line pretty well and makes a pretty high clip when he does get to the foul line. So yeah, DeMar DeRozan could be a good way to go here if you believe in the fact that Boston doesn't do a very good job at defending opposing shooting guards. So I don't mind that whatsoever. Of course, got to worry about both Zach Levine and Nikola Vucevic, and even Lonzo Ball to some degree, cutting into some of his productivity. Thank you for that one, Silly Rabbit 007. Capital notoriety. Cam Reddish over on points. Cam Reddish has been one that has been hitting his player prop of points pretty regularly. Let's see if we could go back to the trends here and maybe take a look at that. See if it'll pull up. I don't know if it's going to pull up. It doesn't look like it's loaded yet on props.cash, his point prop. And I'm not seeing him so far on PrizePicks unless I'm overlooking him. Yeah, I don't see him on the PrizePicks board either. But we'll just do a quick glimpse if I can get the data pulled up here for Cam Reddish and his points. There we go. He's now up on props.cash at 12.5 points. And if we look at just his last 5 games, it's an 80% cover rate, 15.4 point per game average. He gets a very juicy matchup against Washington, a team that he previously dropped 20 points on. So yeah, if I'm leaning any way on Cam Reddish, it's going to be over on his points prop. In terms of points allowed, Washington ranking dead last in the NBA, meaning they're giving up the most points allowed to opposing teams in the entire league. 28th in field goals allowed, 3 points allowed, middle of the pack, not a very tough defense whatsoever. They do rank 9th against opposing small forwards, so that's just one little area of concern for Cam Reddish. Let's see if I can find a point prop for you. I got him at 11.6 points, so I don't know that they're going to have him up on PrizePicks today, being that he is at such a high hit rate, but I'm not seeing him so far. Maybe they add him later on, though. Maybe they add him later on. But yeah, Cam Reddish, been on fire lately. It's good to see a Duke boy finally getting it together in the NBA. Let's see. Dre to Kiss, what's up, everybody? Hey, what's up, Dre? Thanks for joining us once again. Ant the Kid, Boucher over fantasy and Tatum under 3s for a 2-pick power. Okay. Yeah, we definitely talk Boucher over fantasy points, especially if Scottie Barnes is out. You got to get that locked in ASAP, because if you don't have that trigger finger ready to hit the over on some of those props when a guy's ruled out, that could be a problem. You'll miss out. You'll miss out. Remy says, how about Lonzo Ball under 5.5 rebounds against Boston? Tough matchup. Well, we could take a look at that for sure. Lonzo Ball, we've been talking a lot of Chicago Bulls today. Of course, a marquee matchup against the Boston Celtics. So Lonzo Ball at 5.5 rebounds. Is he up on PrizePicks? Boom, sure is. He sure is. And so far, yeah, it's been kind of tough sledding for Lonzo Ball clearing this 5.5 rebound prop. So let's go ahead and look at a projection for Lonzo Ball. We won't spend too much time because, hey, I've been on stream for over an hour helping you guys already. If you haven't liked and subscribed yet, thank you for doing so now. But I'm going to try and get to as many questions as I can to close out the stream today. He's at 5.2 rebounds. You get an idea of his game logs. You get an idea of his projection. And the matchup against Boston, yeah, it could be a tough one. Let's look at that real quick. You see across the board just a lot of red and yellow, so I wouldn't say that it's an easy matchup at all against Boston in terms of the rebound props. They rank in the top sixth overall in rebounds allowed, 7th overall in offensive, and 7th overall in defensive rebounds allowed. So I'd be kind of staying away from this one based on some of the matchups and rankings that we're seeing so far. What else do we have here? Thank you, Remy, for that one. Trevor, any over-unders for the points in the Cavs game? We could look at the trends real quick and get an idea of that. Overs, unders for points in the Cavs game. Well, first question is, because I can't remember off the top of my head, who the heck are the Cavs playing tonight? I guess that would be important to know. I don't see them. I don't know. Let's just look for Cavs. How about that? Not seeing any really. I mean, in terms of like overs for point props, as far as Cleveland players are concerned, Evan Mobley's down there at 42.9% hit rate at 13.5 points. That'd be an over or an underplay for me. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not seeing a whole lot for that Cavs. I don't want to waste too much time, waste your time, my time. Thank you for everybody who is tuning in. Appreciate you joining the stream this morning. As we bleed into the afternoon, it is now afternoon here for me over on the East Coast in Tampa, Florida. Beautiful day out today. Loving the weather. It is definitely starting to feel like fall. Tyrese Maxey getting buckets tonight. Tyrese Maxey might be getting buckets tonight. Is he up on the PrizePicks board? Maybe we could talk about him a little bit. Not seeing Tyrese Maxey at the moment, but if it helps you out, let's look at a Tyrese Maxey projection. They got him at 14.3 points, so it remains to be seen where he's going to land on the PrizePicks board, but against Portland, I'm not really afraid of Portland's defense, so he could definitely get some buckets tonight. Patrick says, good morning. Let's get it. What's up, Patrick? Good morning to you too. Thank you, Patrick Lewis, for tuning in. You the man. Shadow says, what do you think of Clint Capela rebounds? We talked about Clint Capela rebounds and John Collins rebounds as good opportunities to potentially go over on those. Anthony Edwards points. Yeah, against the Orlando Magic. Yes, that is right. Against the Orlando Magic. Yeah, Ant Edwards. I love the matchup. Keep targeting the Orlando Magic, folks at home, wherever you're watching this from. Keep targeting the Orlando Magic. We had a good opportunity a few nights ago with Miles Bridges. OG Anunoby should have gotten there for us. He did not. He shot terribly when they played the Raptors. But Anthony Edwards, yes, another good way to go is Anthony Edwards against the Orlando Magic at 2.5 3-point makes. That could be an opportunity worth exploring. 6, 3, 4, falls off a little bit in his last two games. But if there was ever a situation for Anthony Edwards to get right and have a big game, it's against my poor Orlando Magic. I hate saying it, but it's true. It's damn true. Julius Randle points. Yeah, we talked about Julius Randle points. Terry Rozier under fantasy score. Yeah, Rozier's kind of just getting himself back into playing shape, I would say, right? I think he's just now re-entering the lineup. Kind of been out for a little bit for Charlotte. So I'd probably go under on some Rozier, but be careful. Anytime you add another player into the rotations, kind of throws off the dynamic a little bit. So we've been riding some Miles Bridges over on points. So I'd be careful with Terry Rozier. Terry Rozier's still with Charlotte, right? I mean, I might be wrong, but what else? Colin Sexton over under 20.5. Yeah, I didn't really see anything about Colin Sexton that stood out to me, but Colin Sexton overall, I took his fantasy points under the other night against the Lakers, and he went well under, way under. Colin Sexton's not having a great start to the year. Very inconsistent. Anthony Edwards over on rebounds. KG Wood 713. Thanks for dropping that one into the chat. Let's find Ant Edwards. Let's go back down here. He's facing Orlando. Ant Edwards at 5.5 boards. Ooh, okay, we got us a gem here maybe against Orlando. 6 boards against Houston, 9 against New Orleans, 9 against New Orleans, 7 against Milwaukee, and 11 against Denver. So as you can see, guys, he's not just going for 6 rebounds in most of these games. He's going for 9, 7, 11 boards. He's going well over. So yeah, Anthony Edwards over rebounds, I think could make for an excellent play tonight. Let's see if we can get a projection for you according to Number Fire. They got him at 5.2. So they're taking a slight under on Anthony Edwards. Maybe we could get you a better idea in terms of like the matchups and things like that. Let's take a look here. Find Anthony Edwards. Boop. And we switch this over to rebounds. The matchup, very good. Shooting guard defense, Magic suck. They're 25th overall. Defensive rebounds allowed, 29th. Offensive rebounds allowed, 12th. And total rebounds allowed to opposing teams, 28th. We are one of the worst teams at rebounding the basketball, apparently. We give up a lot of boards to the opposing team. Yes, Anthony Edwards, over 5.5 rebounds. Count me in. I'm in on that one. Travis says, Taylor's very helpful like you, CJ. Well, we're just trying to do our best out there. We're trying to reach out to you guys, help you with your player prop research. I think, that's our intent, his intent. I can't speak for anyone else, but that's my intent. Try to be helpful as I can on these streams, try to reach an audience and hopefully lead to more profitable days for you on PrizePicks or wherever you're playing daily fantasy sports or prop picks. Steven Adams rebounds under 8. Probably not a way that I want to go under on Steven Adams, especially under on rebounds. If I was taking the under on anything, it'd probably be something that he's not very skilled at, like scoring the basketball. But yeah, I'm a little leery taking a historically strong rebounder like Steven Adams under on a prop like 8 boards. Azan says, definitely agree with the Ant Edwards rebounds over. Yusuf Nurkic fantasy points is a lock to go over at 34.5. So Nurkic, the Portland Trailblazers big man, 34.5 fantasy points. We don't talk a lot about fantasy points because I want to keep this kind of open for people who not only play on PrizePicks, but maybe they play on other sites. So we don't really do a whole lot of fantasy points. But you can see Nurkic in his last 3 games has gone over 34.5 fantasy points. But if you want to take a look at a projection for his fantasy points, use the FanDuel projections because they are exactly the same as PrizePicks. And they've got him at 36 fantasy points. So he's gone over in his last 3 games. He's projected for 36 according to Number Fire. They like the over on 34.5 fantasy points for Yusuf Nurkic, taking on Joel Embiid and company, Philadelphia 76ers tonight. What else do we have here? John Collins points, Trae Young assists. Yeah, we talked a bit about the matchup for John Collins being a good one. I'm assuming you're probably talking Trae Young over assists because I think he's been doing a good job of hitting like 9 to 10 assists per game. He's currently not up on the board, but Trae Young assists could be a good way to go if you're looking to maybe take the over. Let's type his name in here. They got him at 9.8 assists. So just like I said, I called it. 9 to 10 assists have been the norm for Trae Young this season. Closer to 10 assists today. So hopefully that helps you out. How do we feel about Ja Morant for 24.5 tonight? Thanks for dropping that one. Blue Pumps. 24.5 for Ja Morant. Memphis Grizzlies point guard. They're taking on Denver. This could be a tough matchup for Ja. He's been a little bit, shaky here in his last handful of games. Started off the season on fire with 28, 40. Drops all the way down to 17 in what was a good matchup against Portland. Just couldn't get it done. 30 against Golden State, 20 against Miami. So Ja Morant at 24.5 points. I can probably get you a projection on that one pretty quickly here. Not seeing him at the top of the charts or anything. Where is Ja Morant? Maybe I'm just blind. Oh, there he is. 24.9. So they got him at like 25 points. Let's just call it 25. So not a huge edge. A little too close for comfort for me. I'm probably not going to go Ja Morant. What else do we have here? Anthony Taylor, let's get this money. New month, let's get it. Yes, new month, November. Let's get that money. Aslan says, Ja's been on a tear in a high-paced matchup. I like his points and assists. Yeah, I mean, the projection would seem to agree with you on that. Maybe leaning toward the over on Ja Morant, but probably not going to go there. Mabel says, Monday Night Football. Heck yeah, Monday Night Football. This video is not about football, unfortunately, but yeah, I'm always down for Monday Night Football. Ken, yeah, we talked about Al Horford over 7.5 rebounds. Been absolutely smashing that rebound prop. So loving the Al Horford over 7.5 boards. Lackey says, it's 60 viewers in here. It takes 1 second to drop a like. Come on, y'all. You heard the man. Do what must be done here. Drop a like on this, and we'll be like halfway to our goal of 100 likes on this video. Thank you so much for shouting that out, Lackey. Appreciate the support in chat. Asin says, Miles Bridges going to keep balling out tonight? Well, that's a good question. We touched on that Miles Bridges sentiment a little bit where, he could keep balling out. Gordon Hayward's probably going to bust out of his funk at any moment. Terry Rozier, of course, back in for them. So that's going to be potentially impactful. Zaddy, how about those Cowboys? But how about these Eagles, man? I know it was the Detroit Lions. It's nothing to brag about. But hey, a win is a win. When you're a Philadelphia Eagle fan, you got to celebrate every victory that comes out. What else we got here? Embiid out. I don't know that we have official news yet on Joel Embiid. Definitely one to keep an eye out on, though. James says Gary Trent under points. Gary Trent's not somebody we talk about a whole lot. Let's take a look at how Gary Trent's been doing. That might be sneaky good. 14.5 points, 12, 18, 12, 19, and 8. So it's been up or down. And, that's kind of the way that I think this goes. It could go either way. New York, very tough team, tough defense. So if I were leaning one way or the other, it'd probably be a lean toward the under on Gary Trent. Let's go ahead and find you a projection. Maybe that'll help. 14.4, so slightly under 14.5. So yeah, Number Fire, kind of agreeing with what I'm telling you here. Go under on Gary Trent, 14.5 points if you must. I don't like the play personally, just a little too volatile for my taste. I think there's better options on the board. Rozier played 33 minutes, says Trill Fate. Thanks for dropping that little nugget in there. That'll help some folks out. Cleveland versus Charlotte tonight. Miles Bridges and Melo been on it. Absolutely. Miles Bridges and Melo have been killing. I have over 8.5 assists on my book. Looks good. Not sure who we're talking about. Is that Trae Young? 8.5 assists? Because, yeah, I would take the over probably. Asin says, you think the Orlando rebounding is so trash? How about McDaniels at 4.5 in that matchup tonight? Yeah, I think we mentioned McDaniels earlier. We just didn't have him up on the PrizePicks board, but yeah, McDaniels could be a good way to go. Jeff says, just as fast as you said, go over on Yusuf Nurkic fantasy points. It's gone up from 34.5 to 36. I ain't saying people are watching, but people are watching. Maybe it's you guys. Maybe you guys are jumping on the Yusuf Nurkic fantasy point prop and you're causing the number to get bumped up. Maybe PrizePicks is watching. I don't know. Somebody's out there. Somebody out there is watching the stream, though. Thanks for letting us know that, Jeff. Josh says, new month and time to recover from yesterday. Yeah. Could have been a tough day for you. I don't know if you played NFL, NBA, or a little bit of both, but yeah, new day, new you. We're gonna try and bounce back. We got some solid plays we've identified so far. Yusuf Nurkic over 9.5 rebounds with Embiid and Howard out. Yeah, if Embiid's officially ruled out, absolutely smash Yusuf Nurkic. And maybe that's why his fantasy points got bumped up. Mitchell Robinson under 7.5 boards. We got Desmond Bane. Yeah, we love Desmond Bane, G-Lo. G-Lo, we talked a lot about Desmond Bane already. We like his points, where he's covered, I think, 100% of the time on his points prop today. And we like Desmond Bane's threes, because if Desmond Bane is scoring and we like him to go over points, most likely he's hitting three-pointers. He is a run-and-gun type of young guard. So let's talk about Mitchell Robinson under 7.5 rebounds. We've been on stream for nearly an hour and a half, and then I will let you guys get out of here. We'll take that last one from Wiggy, and then we'll send you on your way. Hopefully you could go lock in some of these props before they get bumped up too much or bumped down too much. Hopefully you can lock in some value. Let's find Mitchell Robinson here on the PrizePicks board. 7.5 rebounds facing Toronto tonight. In his last 5 games, has only covered this prop 2 times out of 5. So not a very high cover rate, but maybe the matchup works out for Mitchell Robinson. Appreciate everybody who has tuned in. Definitely like if you haven't yet. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Make sure the notifications are on just in case. You might forget that the stream goes live at 11 a.m. Eastern time every day, Monday through Friday. turn on a notification. It'll remind you to jump in here and drop your favorite player props if you're serious about playing props or playing on PrizePicks. So he's at 8.1 projected rebounds. They like him to go over his 7.5 rebound prop. And we're going to go find him here on props.cash at 8.5 boards. He's a little higher on props.cash than he is on PrizePicks. So let's move this down to 7.5, and you can see some things that were red now are green. So things are looking a little bit better here for Mitchell Robinson. Of course, I told you that he covered in his first 2 games out of his 5-game log, but the last 3 have been very difficult for him to go over 7.5 boards. But the matchup is what we really want to look at here. Everything's green for Mitchell Robinson. In terms of rebounds allowed, 23rd ranked, 22nd in offensive rebounds allowed, 25th in defensive rebounds allowed. And then in terms of center defense, they rank 27th. They're in the paint defense 22nd. So a lot of green, a lot to like here for Mitchell Robinson. Hopefully, Wiggy, that helped you out and you feel a little bit more comfortable about taking Mitchell Robinson over, or maybe you want to go under. I don't know. I'm thinking the over is probably the way to go, but I appreciate everybody for stopping by, liking and subscribing, leaving a comment in the chat. I appreciate all of you for tuning in. It does not go unnoticed. I'm grateful. I'm humbled to have your support, and I hope to be able to do this type of thing for you every single day. With that being said, though, it's been about an hour and a half, guys. 90 minutes of nonstop player prop talk to get you ready for tonight's NBA slate. So I'm going to get out of here. I think it's time for lunch. You guys should go grab a bite to eat too, depending on where you're at. Maybe it's breakfast time. Slam something down for breakfast, guys. Drink your coffee, drink your water, and I will catch you in the next one, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Peace out.